It's your time on Indigo.
All right, as promised, I'm joined by Captain Zoya Agarwal, who commanded the first flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru, and they landed on Monday. And this was an all-women crew of Air India's longest direct flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru. Captain Zoya, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Very excited to have you.
I'm equally excited to be here, a part of the Bengaluru journey, Melbin. Thank you for having me. Namaskara to all the Bengaluru listeners who are listening in.
All right, great. Love to see the enthusiasm, Captain Zoya. Firstly, it's a very special flight, of course, longest international flight from India. That's a first. And also an all-women crew. Now, that's the icing on the cake. So what was the experience like?
Melbin, the atmosphere was absolutely electric right from the time that we knew we were going polar. We were so excited. All four of my girls, the Bharat Ki Betis, the four of us who flew this amazing, brilliant, record-breaking flight all the way from San Francisco to Bengaluru, the two Silicon Valleys we connected.
Right.
This was long-standing dream of PM Modi ji's, which finally came true. And I'm so happy that this was flown by four Bharat Ki Betis over the North Pole, and
Right.
what a flight. And even the passengers, they were so excited. A lot of them belonging to Bengaluru,
Right.
returning home. They were excited on the fact that, Air India has launched this service, a non-stop to Bengaluru direct. So it was the first of many tours and absolutely exciting moment, I think, not only for Air India, for India, for the world as a whole, especially in the COVID-19 times. We definitely needed the silver lining to the darkest of the clouds.
Absolutely. Wow. It seems like you've had such a ball of a time, but also I'm pretty sure it was such a long journey. So was there anything that you can spot out as maybe being a challenge during this flight?
There were a lot of challenges on this flight because this is not like a normal flight
Right.
from point A to point B. There are a lot of legality issues, a lot of clearances, a lot of equipment on board the Boeing 777 which have to be there. So that had to be ensured.
Right.
Once that is done, equipment-wise, then you come to pilots. Now you have to have specially trained pilots and the crew of this flight. Once that is done, the weather gods need to be extremely happy and pleased with you. You better be doing your fares well.
Yes, there's
and
there's a huge checklist. There's quite a bit. It's and I'm pretty sure you checked everything quite well. And Captain Zoya, once again, tell us, did you have to prepare in any particular way mentally for this?
we are always prepared to for the worst case scenario. You always go ahead prepared for the worst case.
Right.
Of course, you always can get the best case, but that is always the best case scenario is not always there.
Yeah.
So yes, we were prepared both ways, and we were looking forward to the flight. And there was a lot of fervor in the air. There was a lot of effervescence in the cabin behind. I made 7 announcements during the course of the flight to the passengers to
Right.
explain to them how different and groundbreaking this flight was, and also how much of a new leaf of aviation history that we were turning on that flight. It was a new world record, of all sorts being created on that flight. So before we entered the polar region, I informed the passengers, and I could sense the electric atmosphere in the cabin because the polar region, Melbourne, is very, very known for the visual phenomenon of aurora borealis, which is basically the northern lights or the polar lights. When you enter polar region, everything is particularly dark, so your stars and the constellations are so bright. Combined with the magical and the divine aurora borealis, it was some other sight for the passengers. So
Right.
I was making, announcements repeatedly to inform them.
Can you give us a glimpse? I want a glimpse of those announcements that you made, because I love hearing pilots talk about on the right side, you see, and on the left side. So can you give us a glimpse of what you saw in the North Pole? Maybe give us a glimpse of one of the announcements. That would be nice.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking from the flight deck once again. Welcome on board this history-creating maiden flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru. One of the world's longest, Air India's longest, and the longest flight by any Indian carrier. Today, along with me, I have an all-women flight deck crew. The Bharat Ki Betis flying you all the way to Bengaluru. Senior Captain Tanmay Papagari, First Officers Captain Akanksha Sunavane, and Captain Shivani Manhas. And we also have a special guest, Captain Bhasin, on board. Behind the cabin, we have our lovely cabin supervisor, Miss Grover and Miss Singhal, who along with their charming cabin crew are going to be looking after all of his team passengers today. On behalf of all of us, I would like to extend a very warm welcome for all of you once again on board this marvel of a flight, AI-176. A non-stop service from one end of the world to the other.
Oh, wow. All right. Fantastic. Captain Zoya Agarwal, thank you for that. And Captain Zoya, there's a lot of talk about women empowerment these days. So how did it feel to actually be part of this historic flight for you?
Melbin, in fact, I go to a lot of schools and, villages where I go and inspire the young girls myself. This is a cause which is extremely close to my heart. Mm-hmm. And, a women empowerment is something that I've been working towards for a very long time. And
right.
I want our country, not only our country, the entire world, the little girls who've tuned in right now, our societal pressures are tremendous, which kind of do cloud upon our thinking when we are growing up, to tell yourself that this is your limitation. Nothing is your limitation.
Right.
I am possible. Impossible word does not even exist. It's always read the word impossible as I am possible. Stay focused, work on your goals, meticulously, just go for it. Keep your eyes set, and there is nothing that you can't achieve. Go for it and believe in yourself.
All right. Captain Zoya Agarwal, thank you so much for joining me today on The Morning Show. And, women have been shining on the fashion runway for a while, and it's nice to see you shine on a different kind of runway as well. Thank you, and all the very best.
Thank you so much, Melvin, for having me over here. It was my pleasure, and I hope I have inspired a lot of young little girls who are listening in today.
You surely did.
Thank you.
Your time on Indigo.
Like us if you like us.
Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
At indigomusic.com.